curious. How many of you all have friends, peers, other individuals that you share hobbies with? Like golfing and basketball. Do you have those? How many of you all have a support system that'll help you and stand behind you? Do you guys have those? Today I want to share with you something that's not a new idea, but it's something that the deaf community has never really experienced. In 2005, now mind you, I have a master's degree, a good job, friends and family who support me, but still I felt like something was missing from my life. So one day, I received an email asking me to volunteer in Cambodia. They asked me to go ahead and go. So I said to myself, why not? And I went ahead and went. In this program in Cambodia, there was two groups. There was an American group and a group of people from Cambodia, and they worked together to try to find social change. From the beginning to the end, we all worked very close together. It was inspiring, but it made me think, if we can be connected like that, I want that to be more of something that I deal with every day. So I went ahead, after it was over, I went back. Now in the deaf community, we have limits. Education limits, social limits. So the concept is something I experienced in Cambodia when the two groups worked together. It was something I called peer-to-peer. They were always working together. We were always working together, experiencing the same things. Secondly, we were sharing ideas. Those two things made us work together really well. Peer gave us power. An example, all of us today here are to share ideas, to learn things. Us being here, that's an example of peer-to-peer. So my group of friends, when we came back, we were all sitting around thinking, and we were excited, and we were thinking about those groups being connected. And we wanted that. We wanted to find social change. And we realized all of the deaf community can do that. So I made a group of friends, we discussed some ideas, and we decided that that was the thing we wanted, something successful where we could all sit around and share ideas. I would like to share with you some numbers. 278 million people in the world have hearing loss. Many of them live in, a third of them live in developing countries. That sets limits for education and social change. So I want to ask you, what is the peer-to-peer thing that we can look at? So we had a group here and an American group here, and we all sat around and we wanted to talk about how we could grow. One of the deaf people said, I want to learn how to cook. The other said, I want to have a better relationship with my parents. And my group said, well, what about technology? And they said, oh no, we can't do that. We're deaf. If you can help us, then yeah, maybe we can do it. And I said, okay. So I decided to give power, we had to be peer-to-peer. Something that's missing in developing countries is the interaction and stuff like that, being able to expose yourself to things like that. In America, 1/3 of them flew over to teach, socialize. When it was done, they flew back. The other third came over and they helped, they supported each other, and then they flew back. Many different things, many different kinds of people. And I asked them, help me, how do you feel like you benefited? Suppose if a group of people lived in America and they flew over to Cambodia to work with deaf community, have interactions with each other in the groups, talk about interests and love and identity and understanding and communication. They can just socialize with each other. So after all that was done, how did both groups benefit? Was there identity development, language development? Can we develop from stuff like this? It's all flexible. We support each other, we go over there in the communities. We can improve our communication. Language skills can improve and develop. Cultural awareness is shared. If cultural awareness is shared, then we can see the world in a different perspective. After the Americans were finished, they flew back. But actually, they didn't. They chose instead to stay there. They emailed me. They wanted to teach, vacation with them. They had friends there, and they wanted to continue that friendship. And this all continued. One Indian boy lived in a small community. He had very limited communication skill. He wasn't very smart, but he joined this program, and I asked him to come over, so he joined our group, and I saw him. He was very shy. He would say yes and no, and that was about it. So I kind of watched him, observed him, and I wanted to see if he'd become more flexible, if he was scared by us watching him. He saw other people interacting, sharing their experiences, talking, and he started to open up a little bit, became more confident in himself. Every once in a while he'd throw in a comment, so I'd give him back a comment, and he became more wanting to be involved. And all of a sudden you saw this huge change. One person in here, in this program, and he could just learn from him and mess everything up. He was more afraid. He was ready to reach for his goals now. He was excited after seeing all this interaction. So what do you do with that? We started teaching him computers. See that picture? He was developing in the program. So all the support was ready. Peer-to-peer has positives and negatives. Sometimes they clash. In America, everyone's equal. Most developing countries, men and women are not equal. So when doing this, I had to have respect for their culture. Even though that kind of influenced the peer-to-peer aspect of this program. In 2007, something was set up, and it was a peer-to-peer program. It was to help continue for education of the deaf individual so that they can live and develop in their lives peer-to-peer. It sometimes conflicted with cultures, but I have 9 different programs in 5 different countries. I visit 3 of them 3 times. Each person has a special experience. Every person has a special experience. You become a computer person or anything like that, but peer-to-peer continues. So sometimes I have to question myself, can I do this again and again? But I continue. I have to continue with this peer-to-peer program. There's struggles, absolutely. But they need support and different kinds of people and time to finish and cultural conflicts in the world, all of it clashes. But I have to continue to work at it for a long time. So many of the deaf young kids, they're deaf people, an American, and they never met an American. So I went on for a whole week, and one day men and women came and they saw me, their children. They were all sitting there working with other deaf people. They were signing and learning for a whole week. And I was proud to become an educator in this thing. They were all signing and working together. These parents were happy and they were crying because they saw these kids developing from this. They came up to me, and a bunch of them came up to me and said, "Thank you. I could never have hoped for something like this. And now I think that you've developed my kid to where he can maybe go to a university or something." And year after year, I go again. So I saw all that interaction and the influence it had on people, and that's what makes me want to continue. Peer-to-peer can help anyone. It's helping build computer skills, technology skills is what we need today. And so that's why I continue to do the peer-to-peer program. Recently I started setting up more and more countries, peer-to-peer, setting it up, and it was hard, but it was good work, and it started to slowly spread. So I started working with Ted Islay to set some exposure to this. I'll never forget my experience with all of this. In the deaf world, developing countries, expanding, and doing all of that. So that's all I have for you. I'm going to continue doing my work.